How's it going today?
Good, man. It's been like crazy week. You know, if I feel like November always gets kind of like, is it going to get slow? And like you're waiting for the phone to ring for a second because everyone's eating turkey. And then like November like 25th, everyone realizes they got to get everything done before the year's out. So and then it just goes like berserk.
We're probably about to get those emails of people trying to get gear in like as like the end of the year, like to beat the tax bill, like to get it on their for taxes.
I got to look at that too myself. I think
so. Well, I guess we're gonna expect an email from you.
Yeah, probably. Most likely. Just don't tell my wife.
Oh, I won't.
Did Michael email some dude's wife?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
This week he's like, "Don't email my wife."
yeah.
Busted.
Yeah, but the guy put in the email, like it auto-filled her email in there. So,
so
that's
she's
on
getting
him. He told on himself.
Well, well,
that's a big.
She'll have to deal with it, I guess. You know.
Yeah. Chances are they've been married for a long time. She's been dealing with it for a while.
Exactly.
She's probably just rolling her eyes, going, "Fucking again."
Told you to fix the cupboards.
Yeah, exactly. That's why every time a piece of gear shows up at my house, it's like I'm trying to sneak it in the car, get it to the studio.
You just got to get it sent to the.
Well, now I do. When my studio was at home, though, it had no place to go but home. So it's like you come in, it's like, oh, another compressor, great. That helps.
She looks at all the wall of stuff and just like, don't you have enough?
Well, it's not as bad now that it's out of my house, you know. And that's like the key is it not being at home anymore, so it doesn't feel as intrusive.
I can
relate.
Yeah, you guys just moved, huh? So.
Yeah.
Is that like your studio? Is that your studio spot right there, or you're somewhere else?
No, this is actually Final QC. This is like the desk I work at for Final QC. When the stuff comes in, and there's this whole room has like how many stations are in here, Trevor? Right now?
Five
Six,
stations.
actually,
Oh,
six.
6 or 7.
3,
Probably
5, 7, 8, including this desk.
Yeah.
8 Final QC stations in this room. So, and
Wow.
not all the size of this desk. Smaller desks all around.
That's
or whatever,
awesome,
too.
man. You guys really got a big setup now. That's great.
we would show you the warehouse, but like
Give it the virtual tour.
we give you a virtual tour. Oh man, we do that.
Next,
one
how
day.
far are you guys from Orlando?
45 minutes to an hour.
Oh man,
depending
well
on
next
how
time
fast you drive.
I'm down there, like usually every couple of years I end up mixing something down at Universal. So next
cool.
time I'm down, I'm definitely gonna have to come down there and check it out.
We should have that like all this part of the podcast. We should probably do the intro, right?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
you can
sorry.
just slide it in.
Oh yeah. No,
that's
it's fine. Welcome to the Sonic of Truth. Our guest today is Matt Rifino.
Hey now.
All right, now you're gonna find out who he is. All right.
I like that. Do the intro about 5 minutes in.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 minutes.
There you go.
do a cold open and then intro.
Jump into it.
I like it.
Yeah,
It shows some like humanity. You'll be like, is there a countdown on your screen? And then it hops back into like what we were talking about, and people are like, well, where's the beginning part of this?
It's like it's a jump edit, you know? It's
Yeah. So, but yeah. Thank you for coming on the Sonic
Thanks
Truth,
for
man.
having me.
We had a little bit of technical difficulties, a little behind the scenes, but we're glad to finally get it done.
between all the engineers, we got it figured out, you know.
Yeah. But like we said, it's always the producer's fault.
That's right. Always the producer's fault.
Yeah. Not the mixer.
Never the mixer's fault.
Which today you've been mixing, correct?
Yeah, I mixed this morning. This morning I mixed artist Sarah Bareilles. Yeah, so I mixed her earlier today, and then I came to the studio. I'm here right now. Ron, who you guys met at AAS, one of the assistants here, him and Skylar, one of the other guys, they're prepping a 12-song EP for me to start, I think, tomorrow or Saturday.
Did you say 12
12
song
song
EP?
Yeah, I'm wrong about that. It was going to be an EP. I'm sorry. Is this... let me turn this notifications off. It's a 12-song live album that's 4 live shows put together. So it was going to be an EP, but now it's going to be a full 12-song record. So we're sequencing it first in Pro Tools, getting it all together, getting it all prepped, and then I'm going to try to mix it from top to bottom and see what happens.
You gonna make them recut their vocals or anything?
No, I just got some
Just be like,
crazy.
act like
I
they're
just
live.
got some crazy voodoo AI plugin called Supertone clear, and it like removes all the ambience. It's pretty wild. It's
weird.
Yeah, it's some AI.
That's some voodoo for you.
Yeah, it just takes away like all the cymbal splash out of the vocal. It's pretty wild.
I used an Adobe AI for a voice enhancer for a video, and because it just sounded like shit, and then you threw that on there, and it sounded like they were right up on a microphone, like a condenser microphone. I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, this thing has like a voice up and down, and then like an ambience up and down, and then a vocal reverb up and down. I just played with it for like 2 minutes now for the first time, and it's pretty incredible. I don't know what it's doing, but I'm kind of shocked. I've been mixing live stuff for a long time, and I've tried every expander and thing under the sun, and I've never heard anything like this. I don't know where we're headed now. It's going to get crazy soon.
Well, it's the future.
Now.
Kind of crazy. Everybody was like, I want a hoverboard. And they're just like, well, here's one with a wheel. And they're like, not that. And they're like, well, what about making friends with AI? Why don't we have a computer take away a bunch of jobs for you? Yeah, sure. This sounds way better.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The guys were screwing around the other day, and they made a whole movie trailer with the voiceover and everything in like 5 minutes with AI. It was like wild. They threw it into Logic and put it together, and like, yeah.
I used AI yesterday, just showing like Chris doing like a let's do AudioScape logo, but make it like a death metal font, and it gave me 4 logos, but like 3 of them didn't spell it correctly, but one spelled everything perfectly, and I was like, that's the one.
Well, it's got a ways to go, but it's pretty incredible. You know,
it is weird.
It's weird.
It's weird. So, but yeah, no. Oh, so you just mentioned that coming down to Florida, you do a lot of stuff mixing over at Universal. Have you ever seen Chris over at Universal while you're down there?
I have not. You know, I haven't been down there since the last time I was down there was like 2 weeks before the pandemic, like before lockdown hit. And it was like that weird time when people were sort of wearing masks and sort of not. And, you know, no one really knew what was happening yet. And
it was always that time in Florida.
Yeah. I'm in New York and New Jersey. So it was like a total lockdown the whole time. But the last time I was down there, I guess would have been February of 2019. But I'm sure in the next year or two, I'll be back for something.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll come by when you are down here.
Oh, absolutely.
But, I was bringing up because Chris's band used to play over at.
We were talking about that AAS. Because that's at the City Walk. That's where I did. That's where I've done all the mixes that I've done there, right at that City Walk there. Where he
right at the water stage, right?
Yep.
Right down there. Yep. Yeah.
How is the sound there usually?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
It's wide open. If I recall, it's kind of dry actually because it's pretty. There's nothing around it. So, where I was. It was like the buildings. There was like some restaurants and stuff. I think behind the truck that I was in, but then behind it's like the water, and it just opened to the hotels on the other side. So the sound pretty much doesn't really bounce off a lot. Oh. So if I recall, I had to like make it feel a little liver. To capture the size of it with the crowd, with the overhead cameras, like it looked a lot bigger than the close mic sounded. So I probably did some stuff to sort of make it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Look like stuff's reflecting, even though it really wasn't.
Yeah, I think they learned because they used to have the stage opposite, and there's still a stage there, and it would. We would get noise. There would be super noise complaints. Police even coming to Universal and stuff like that before they switched to that stage setting. And yeah, because it was like going, I don't know, it was just bouncing around like crazy when it was facing the other direction. So
nobody was complaining about the giant explosions during the boat show or anything.
Or none of the fireworks. No,
none of the fireworks.
No,
it's
music.
No.
Yeah, it's just
It's the rock band.
You didn't play my song.
It's the devil's music.
Oh man, good times at Universal.
Oh gosh, no, I haven't been there in a little bit, hot minute. But Matt, so let's just get everybody up to pace. So what is it you do?
Oh, I guess I play with faders. Really, I mean, they call this a job, and it is, and it's hard work, but it's still fun. Yeah, so I mix the Today Show for NBC in the mornings. I do all the music performances from that. And then when I'm done there, I come to my studio here and mix records and different live performances for streaming or promotion or, pretty much everything with music is what I'm doing. I don't do any other stuff but just that. So every day it could be, this week was kind of, we're getting into the holiday season, so it's a lot of Christmas music right now. Um, this week I've had five performances I'll have this week in total. And then I finished a record on Monday and had a couple of days in between while they're prepping this one. And I'm starting this maybe tomorrow. So just constantly trying to keep working.
Working day and night.
Yeah, my days are 17 hours usually, almost every day. And then Saturdays I do like a half day, like 8 hours.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Touché.
showing up and putting in the work.
You got to do
that's
it.
for damn sure.
Well, if you want to do, if I want to keep my feet in the record game, and television is consistent work, and I've got a family, so it's the compromise you kind of have to make these days. So, it keeps things going.
So how long have you been at the how long have you been at the Today Show?
I'm getting old, man. In April it'll be 20 years.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah, I started in 2004, April 2004. I wasn't the music mixer. I started off I was an assistant at Avatar, which is now the Power Station again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was an assistant there, and I was looking to step out of that sort of role, and ended up becoming like the stage guy. So I was just plugging in mics on the stage or in the studio, and I did that for a little while. And then they said, can you mix monitors? And I lied and said I could and just did it. And
that's how you get your foot in the door.
Yeah. That was pretty crazy. They gave me 1 day of training, and then I mixed Elvis Costello with I had 17 wedges on the stage and side fills. And it must have been so horrible for him. I feel so bad. But I got through it. And then that kind of led into doing the broadcast mix when did we go HD? And that sounds so old now, but I think it was 2006 we went HD, and that's when they moved to a Pro Tools based music room. And I've been using Pro Tools at that point for 8 or 9 years. So, and I was the only one at the time. No one in broadcast really knew anything about Pro Tools. So coming from the studio background, I kind of had a leg up, and eventually over the course of a year or so went from the fill-in part-time guy to the full-time guy. And then after a few years of that, they made me a staff engineer. So I'm there 5 days a week as, whatever they throw at me is what I mix. I was supposed to mix the tree lighting this week, the Rockefeller tree lighting, and I got out of it because I didn't want
tree lighting. That would have been fun.
I've done it a bunch of times. And last year I worked 37 hours straight between the Today Show and the tree lighting, because the Today Show promotes whatever's on the tree light. Whoever's on the tree lighting, the Today Show is going to have in the morning. So basically, I'd go from a Today Show performance to the tree lighting rehearsal, to a Today Show performance to the tree lighting show, back to the Today Show. And I moved into a hotel room on a Sunday and was there for a total of 6 hours and 3 days just to shower. And I spent the rest of the time in the chair mixing. It was just intense. So this year, when I was looking at it, I was like, please get somebody else. I can't do it. It's cool to do, but I don't want to kill myself.
You're only one man.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's plenty of
What is all
people.
entailed in the tree lighting?
Yeah. Well, last year it rained. The day of the tree lighting poured like crazy. So we taped 24 songs the day before.
Oh, wow.
In 4 hours.
Jesus.
And with maybe 14 different artists. So it's just I basically, we only use maybe 15 wireless hand mics for all the singers. And I basically sort of duplicate my channel as many times as many singers I have for that mic. And then I can process that mic differently for each artist and save a snapshot of it. So basically, someone will come up, whoever it is comes up to sing whatever song it is, they do it, and then we'll do the next one. and then the next one, and then they're done. And then it's on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you just go until there's none left. And for the tree lighting, it's live. It's the only difference is it's the same thing. It just maybe we'll do, I forget how many there is, maybe 10 or 11 performances over the couple hours.
Now, do they have any sound checks prior to that? Because how many bands within that are rotating in and out? I imagine that's got to be
It's like
a
a
pain in the
dozen,
ass.
probably. Well, that's mostly to track, that sort of stuff. I mean, it's live vocal, but it's usually vocal to track. So
I got you. Okay.
they'll be like, 2 or 3 different playback systems coming from different places to me, depending if the artist is supplying it or if we have a dedicated playback guy, so he might have the tracks and play it. So I need to know what music to open. And then every music cut you get is so different, right? They're all over the place, level wise and EQ wise. And so like you want to get a consistent show. So each track could be processed differently. Some stuff comes in, it's great. You put the faders up and you're like, all right, let me just put the vocal over this. And other times it's mastered way too hot, or there's not enough level, or it's too much dynamic range for TV. So you're just like riding that track. Like today I had like a really delicate song that had piano and strings and a vocal. And it was the type of thing that like, yeah, you could slam it and it'll sit there and it'll do its thing, but it's not going to feel right. It's not going to bloom. So you're talking about like 10 dB of dynamic range in the song, and I'm trying to get that into like 2 or 3 dB. So just moving the fit, at one point the lead vocals at +10, and by the end I'm at like -5. And it's just in real time trying to keep it at a consistent dynamic level. And that's what that show with like the tree lighting, you're just trying to get those all so it feels consistent. And then, I'm always trying to make it sound like it looks. Like that's important to me is anyone can have a microphone and you could be in a big, huge room, but it's still going to sound like a close mic.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a bunch of cameras there, you can tell it's not there. So if you're in the middle of Grand Central Station, it should feel like a bigger cavernous place. Or if you're in a club, it should feel like a club. So I'm always, when I'm out anywhere, I'm always listening to my surroundings. Like, how does it feel coming off the back of my head? If I'm at a concert, what's coming from the back of the room or the sides or above? Like, I'm taking note of that so I can try to figure out how to do that in a broadcast mix instead of being through a PA speaker with all that energy in the room. I'm trying to like create that energy, but on 3-inch TV speakers.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's got to be challenging.
And then there's no low end. So then you have to figure out like, well, where, like, what are the octaves up from stuff I'm working on? Like, maybe I need to get a bunch of 300 cooking on something because there's, TV speakers, or your TV speakers might be cut off at 500. So that mid-range is important. If you get like you're on big, nice, beautiful speakers and you start cutting low mids and doing detail stuff, it might sound thin and hollow on small speakers.
I think we've all heard what you're trying to avoid happening on when you've watched a TV program and you've seen like
Oh yeah.
I think you were commenting on even one of the late night shows. I forget which one, but we probably don't even need to name it.
let's not name any names.
It's on ABC. You can
And
you
like,
can
it was just like, yeah, they don't have that. It doesn't sound like there's that visual context like you're talking about going on with. It's just the visual and the sound does not line up, and that's something that I don't feel like it's an art form in itself. Mixing for broadcast that people don't really shine enough light on.
Yeah,
because
sometimes you have to. You can't make it sound as good as you would think it should, or it wouldn't be right for that. A good example, you can love him or hate him. I'm in New Jersey, so he's loved. But there's a Springsteen record. There's 2 live Springsteen records, both mixed by one of my heroes, Bob Clearmountain. And one was done in like 1985, and it's punchy and it's big and it's got a big snare drum, not like a gated thing, not Born in the USA, but it sounds big and it's moving air. But then in like 2000, he did a live at Madison Square Garden, or Live in New York, it's called, but it's at the Garden. And being a New Yorker, I've seen a million shows in the Garden. And while the Live in the Garden doesn't have the punch of the 85 live record, it sounds like you're in the Garden. The reflections, the way the snare drum has a slap on it, and it's like, and I've been in that room for so many concerts. I know that. And I've sat everywhere in that building. And it's like he got that. And it doesn't sound as good and it doesn't have the balls, but it feels like you're there more. Like, I love when you're seeing a good band and they're ripping and it's three quarters into the set and like the front of house guy's starting to lose it a little bit and that PA's like right on the edge and it's like almost gonna blow, but it's not. I want to get that out of the little speakers if I can. Like, that's the energy that I'm trying to find. Doesn't always work. I screw it up a lot, but I try to find it. It's there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's how you get there. You screw up. You know?
It almost feels like it could be kind of like a game for you. Well, like doing the live broadcast, like in a way, just be like, all right, let's see. All right. Oh, no, that sounds great. This sounds, all right. This sounds great too.
I've probably
that
screwed
sounds
up.
too good. Brag that down. So-
I've probably screwed up a few from just trying things, which probably isn't fair to the artist, but you got to learn at some point, I guess, through the years. You know, when I started doing the gig, I'd never mixed in surround sound in my life other than as an assistant, you know, setting it up. And I'd never mixed anything live. I was never a front of house guy or any of that. And I never mixed broadcasts. So like, they're like, here you go. And it's like Dave Matthews Band, you know, like 60 something inputs and you just go for it. You know, what are you going to do? And I'm sure if I listen to stuff I did 20 years ago, it's going to suck, you know, compared to what I could do now. But when you're in the same room every day doing 200 shows a year, you know, potentially mixing 400 or 500 songs in a year, you try stuff, you learn stuff, you figure out what works for different arrangements or for, you know, especially because I'm doing songs that a lot of people know a lot of the time. So you kind of learning how those songs are crafted and created. It's like you keep in your mind, I'll use that later. You know, I never knew that this thing was part of this song, but now that I've mixed it and I hear how integral that shaker is or that loop or that, you know, keys, you know, synth bass or whatever it is. And I try to keep those in like the back of my head, like stuff you can use in the future. I'm getting all these people's knowledge, all the time they spend in the studio crafting these hits. And I'm just trying to like take what I can out of it at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
When it comes to doing like the live broadcast mixing and everything, what's like some like big differences from like, because you're probably like in the box, right, for all the live stuff?
I'm on a digital console, but basically I use Pro Tools as like a big plug-in server / router. So I'm on a digital console that can do like 700 channels or some crazy thing.
Jesus.
And what I do is every channel in Pro Tools, every channel on my console has a MADI insert that goes to a channel, an AUX input that the fader's at 0 in Pro Tools. And that's my plugin server, is that channel. So in my template, I have my console has a kick in, my Pro Tools rig has a kick in, my record machine has a kick in. I load it onto all three and do my stage patch, and that goes to where I need it to go. And then I can run any plugin I want. And then I don't have my faders sending to the mix bus. They feed group outs back into Pro Tools again. And my AUG sends also feed back into all my effects into Pro Tools. And then once it's back in there the second time, it stays. And I just have a 5-1 master fader coming out of Pro Tools that sits on a fader on the console. And that fader is what goes to my main mix that feeds broadcast. So it's really one Pro Tools fader.
Oh, wow. All right.
And then you have to be really considerate of the latency.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, the latency with the setup like that.
So
yeah.
I'm running at the lowest buffer. I have to be careful. I can't necessarily do the routing I want on some things. I necessarily can't pick a plugin I would want on some things because basically, since I'm making 2 round trips, 15 milliseconds is about the most that I can do, because that's going to be 30 by the time it's done. And like 33 and a third is a frame. And anything after a frame, the eye starts to notice the lip sync. So I have to keep that in mind. And these days, they're not making as many DSP plugins as they used to. Everything's native. So some stuff, like, I can't just, put that fancy new look ahead and high sample rate limiter on my mix bus, because it'll go to like 150 milliseconds of latency. And that's not good in TV. So I have to be careful about what I do. And just anytime I'm changing anything, the session window's open and I'm looking at latency to see if I can make it work. It's just always open.
Has Pro Tools ever crashed on you during a live performance?
Not during a live performance while mixing. I've had times where they've been counting down and the session is opening. Like, where they're like, are you going to be ready? And I'm like, I don't know. And the director's counting down. And it's like literally like the faders like all popped up on the S3 that I have. I have like a sidecar S3, and they all popped up at the same time as like they were getting ready to start the interview with the artist. So that was tight. Yeah, I had one with Katy Perry that came pretty close. I didn't know if we couldn't get the machine back up. But this is like 15 years ago. This was on like a G5 or something way back in the day. And back then I was in the box completely on the bigger version of what I have here. That's the D. I think I have a D command, D control.
That sounds about
I
right.
used to have the bigger one. These things are actually still, I love this thing. I'm going to keep it going as long as they'll keep letting me use it. 24 faders, a meter bridge, center section. It's all in one thing, and I can get everything done with this. And, right now you could buy one of these things for like $1,500. It's like such a good deal.
That's awesome.
And
$1,500? That's not a bad deal at all.
And they make software now. This company, I think they're called Nyrink, I'm bad with the name, but they make a software for this that keeps it working through Silicon now. And you can run
Sweet.
Luna, Logic, any other DAW on this thing now with that plugin.
That's cool.
So
That's
I've
really
been
awesome.
I've been starting to play around with Luna a little bit, and it's kind of cool.
That's that free one, that new like free DAW that's out there.
They just offered it for free, so I downloaded it because I already had the UA software manager, and it's the same key commands as Pro Tools basically. So if you know Pro Tools, like, you can run it. And I built my template
smart.
in there on my laptop, and I just transferred it to my regular machine, and eventually I'll load all the plugins up and do a mix on it and see what happens. Could be cool.
That is cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. I remember at NAMM, I think it was NAMM 2020 is when they announced it.
Oh, really?
When they announced Luna, and they had like this big, like, long thing you had to walk through. It was like a ride or something at an amusement park or something, or like some, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
like
it was
walking through.
It was like a 5-minute experience walking through like this whole thing when they announced Luna. That's all I remember from Luna. I've yet to check it out.
I watched a few videos on it, and it's got some pretty cool editing features for drums, and all the tape simulation, all that stuff seems kind of cool. And it's routed like, it seems like it's laid out like we all know with Pro Tools. So I figure it's something to at least check out, because if it's free, that means a lot of musicians are going to start using it. So,
Good
especially
point.
it seems so powerful that why is someone going to pay for Logic when that's like free? So I just see a lot of musicians going that way. So I figure I better learn the software a little bit in case stuff starts popping up where I need to know it.
That's smart. And a lot of people have their plugins, like you mentioned. Like, I have their plugins as well, and having that, it just makes sense. Integrated.
Well, they're really smart too, because to get Luna out anyway, it's in their software thing. Like, you can't, if you own their plugins, it's sitting there just waiting for you to click download.
Yeah.
So I think they could really build a big market out of it eventually if considering
Get it while it's free.
Well, yeah, but considering they're on version 1, that's pretty good considering some other DAWs have been around for 30 plus years, and they're like holding their own almost. I mean, it's missing some stuff, no video features, no time code. Some stuff that I use, it doesn't have yet, but it could.
Yeah. Wow. I'll have to check it out. I haven't even seen it in the plugin browser thing.
It's under there's another. They added a new tab, and it just says Luna, and all the Luna stuff is right there, and it's like a couple of minute download. It's definitely, and it sees all your converters and everything. You don't need the Apollo. You don't need any of that stuff. It just pops right up. And then you use my sound card on this computer.
That's
pretty cool.
That is really sick.
Yeah.
And it
that's awesome. I'll check it out.
I loaded on my crappy MacBook Air that's 4 years old. Now, I didn't have any plugins on, but I made I don't know, it had to be between some of them being stereo, probably 200 plus channels in my template, and it ran fine. It was smooth.
Damn.
That's
pretty
actually
good.
really good to know. That means it's not weighing down on systems.
I mean, there was no audio in there. I wasn't playing stuff back. I was literally just building it, but it was scrolling around fine. I could open and close menus. It was really responsive. And this thing is not really good at anything. I had Pro Tools free on here back in the day, and it would just crash every other second. It's not a good. It's not them though. It's just not. This is a cheap computer. It's not meant for that. But Luna was holding its own.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out just because I see a lot of people promoting stuff like Studio One now, like Studio One and Luna, as of recently too. Yeah, a lot of people have been.
I was thinking about doing the Studio One thing because I didn't want to buy an Apollo because I own all the Digi hardware and I got 2 HDX cards. I don't need to spend any more money on old DSP. So I didn't want to get into the Apollo world, but I was going to do Studio One. As soon as they made Luna free, I was like, well, why spend $500 on Studio One to check that out when this is free? I mean, it's crazy to think about that I started on a 4-track that costs more than the software that can do 500 tracks. It's pretty
wild to think about.
I had a microphone and it had high and low EQ. That has everything you could imagine in it, like Fairchild's. It's kind of wild. I know it's not the real deal, but to think about starting out on ADATs and Alesis reverbs and all that stuff, we've come quite a long way.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, speaking of all the plugins and everything right now, I mean, you got to check out our XL305R plugin, right?
I just did all my Black Friday stuff and installed it, and I'm starting a new mix this week, and it's gonna get on there.
Heck yeah.
It's
Well,
I haven't loaded. I haven't used it yet though because I was finishing up stuff that was in recall.
He was too busy downloading Luna for free.
Yeah, too busy downloading Luna for free and getting ready to mix.
Well, I was doing that on my downtime at NBC actually. So
yeah, put it on Mariah Carey for the
put it on Mariah Carey if she's doing anything with you guys this year.
No, I don't think so. No,
is she not defrosting this year?
I think she's got a deal with someone else. I think they're doing a big Mariah Christmas special somewhere. So.
Big defrosting.
Yeah,
I actually think I think it's Disney.
Is it? Yeah, it's ABC.
I could see that. I could see
Disney.
that. They're gonna go with the biggest Christmas.
Yeah, they're
the pumpkins they're on Disney.
Oh yeah, the pumpkins are on Disney. Yeah.
Whoa.
They even got the pumpkins.
Do you remember when she had that crazy New Year's thing a bunch of years back?
Yes.
My buddy was the monitor guy for that.
Oh no!
I called him the next day. He lived.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a tough night though for them, but good guy. Tough night.
Now, are you in charge of the 7-second delay in case there's any mishaps?
We don't even really have a delay, as far as I know. Just whatever all this IP world we're into now induces. We've crossed over from digital into IP, and it's if my console goes down, I can't fix it anymore. I don't. I need some magic man with a laptop and a router and a building somewhere does something. So everything is sort of new as of the last couple of years. We're in a new world.
Huh. Oh. So what if somebody drops an F-bomb?
It goes. It'll get knocked out for the West Coast, or the next net. There's like the A net, B net, C net, and D net, and they would get that knocked out before it hits the B net. So whatever, an hour back, like New Orleans time probably.
That's right. See, it's like back in the day, all the rappers were like, East Coast or West Coast? Who's tougher? East Coast is, because we get the swears.
Yep.
But I mean, that has to kind of be like a nightmare for NBC too. Like telling people like, hey, just make sure you don't say anything bad. Change the lyric here, whatever.
Stuff has gotten through. You know, these days things are so much more lax in general than they were, during the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson days.
Right.
It's everyone's chilled out a little bit, but yeah, it's something you have to watch for. We're a morning show, so it's not like, certain things are not acceptable. And it also dictates the type of music we have. It's definitely a specific type of music for our morning audience in Middle America. So they're not going to have heavy metal. They're not going to have a punk band. It's pop, it's country, it's legacy artists, top 40 type of stuff. Yeah. So these days, a lot of that has lyrics that they do have to change or, edit in the background vocals or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, was it Panic at the Disco did it before they I guess went on hiatus or something. But I know that they released that album. I think they did the album released like day with you guys.
Yeah, I remember that was that last year or the year before?
I think it was last year.
Yeah, it's been a blur. The last few years feel like 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm so bad. I've done I don't know, over 2,000 performances. So I lose track. I just do. And I'm bad with names and I don't know song titles. And I'll be in the supermarket and I'll start singing a lyric to some song that I would never listen to on my own. Because I'm hearing it. It's why do I know that? It's oh, I mixed that 5 years ago. Or an artist comes in that's maybe not a huge artist and I don't know them because I don't listen to that type of music. And they're like, oh, they were here. I mixed them 5-6 years ago. I didn't even realize. You just sort of, it's all, the Today Show, it's not like a late night show or Saturday Night Live where they go dark and they have seasons. The Today Show is a constant season. It never ends. We're off Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and rest of the time we're on. So there's no, COVID for me was actually a good thing because it was the first time in 16 years that I got off the hamster wheel and it wasn't just a constant, because, you finish one performance and you think, today, the artist sent me a message thanking me. It was a nice mix. They were really happy. And you feel good about it. And then the next email you get is, we need all this shit for tomorrow. You got to get, blah, blah, blah. And it's you don't even get a second to take a break. It's just on to the next thing. And before you know it, I'm 150 something shows in at this point for the year. It's hard to remember 6 months ago. Because everyone's, listen, I want every artist that comes through, every A&R guy, everyone to be happy. When I leave, I want everyone to have a smile on their face and think they did a good thing. But I'm one guy and there's 200 something bands or whatever coming at me for the year, and they all feel that their show's the most important. And it is to them, and it should be, but it can weigh on you when it's all the time and, you haven't slept and it's just give me a break, But it's good. It's just worse things to complain about.
Yeah. No, there's definitely.
It's a good problem.
Yeah.
That's I tell myself that all the time with people coming at you wanting units or things like that, especially this time of year. It's a crazy time of year for sales and, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that hoopla.
And we're gonna get the questions you guys gonna have a Christmas sale?
Yeah, when's it gonna ship?
We just did one. When's it shipping? There's a banner that says 1 to 3 weeks. But
we'll never complain. It's a good problem to have. I totally get you.
We'll joke all day, but no, we're definitely grateful for.
It's in this business we're working with so many personalities, and you just have to figure out, especially when you're in the control room. And, the way you word things, the way you say things, the way you present yourself, especially in TV, it's almost a little more impersonable than like when you're making a record and you're in the bunker with someone for weeks on end doing it, or it's a constant back and forth thing. Sometimes, like, the artist comes in, they rehearse, I do the mix, they come to my room to take a listen, and it's like they're escorted right out to hair and makeup to do their thing. And it's probably like a whirlwind for them. So I want to be prepared with everything ready to go to make them feel at ease so they can worry more about like their vocal performance and not like, is it going to sound like crap? So I have everything ready to go where if they ask for something, it's like in my template. It's already there. Like I will bring that up in 2 seconds if you need something, because then I know they've got a short amount of time. I know if they came in, they heard it, it feels good. They feel that I understood what they were trying to do and I can give them that sound, whatever's they're looking for quickly. They're going to walk out of my room going, all right, I'm ready for this. Like, we'll go do it. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a good time. The managers are going to see that their artist is happy. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be a good deal. You don't want it the other way around. You don't want people leaving disgruntled or not feeling, it's
And at what time?
it's their song.
What time in the morning do you start that? Because I imagine some of those artists are performing the night before.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times they're coming right off the tour bus from the gig. Like they're literally, they'll pull out of the garden and drive around the block and pull into us. So the artists will be sleeping on the bus while the crew is bringing in all their gear.
Wait, were we that close to the Today Show when we were up in New York?
Yeah, we were like
think so.
10.
Yeah.
I walked there. It was like 15 minutes from where we were.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all right there.
That's insane.
It's all right there.
Oh, no, we walked around New York a bunch, but like it's like I don't think I I probably walked right past it and didn't even realize it.
It's kind of unassuming, so you wouldn't notice, and especially during the day because they have like the curtains drawn because Today Show's a 24-hour thing. It doesn't stop. So when I'm not there, there's a crew bringing in, yeah. Right now, someone's setting up instruments for tomorrow. There's people there putting drums on a riser and everything, and then it's getting rolled to the back because to those guys, it's just another prop. They're going to roll my stuff out in a commercial break just as they would if they were doing a segment on travel and they were bringing out a bunch of props for travel, like airline seats, or they're doing a segment on shampoo or whatever it is that they're bringing, food segment, all that stuff. It's just every commercial, it's the next thing and stuff is rolling in and out. So they have to have it all laid out and ready to go. So when we're there in the morning, it's like slide the stuff out, let's plug it in and go. And we're there.
Interesting to see that.
We're there at 1 a.m.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and we rehearse at 5. And
Oof.
yeah, and then
Seriously, when do you sleep?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like-
I imagine what your sleeping schedule is.
I know you said 17-hour days. So
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
usually
let me
get home
kind
from
of visit.
here about 7, and usually my wife's really awesome and has like dinner ready to go, and I literally like eat and take a shower, and then I'm hopefully asleep by 8, and then I'm up at 12. And that's Monday through Friday. Sometimes I don't come to the studio. If there's nothing going on, I'll take a day off out of here, but I've been grinding pretty hard lately. That's just part of the gig.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about that studio and
Yeah.
all that hardware behind you. And
It's been a collection. I've been collecting my whole life. So some of this stuff is from like my first gig that I got. Do
you still have your first piece of gear?
I don't. I have my first electric guitar. I got that when I was 9. I still got that.
Nice. Yeah,
My first piece of gear I traded. I was on like the 4-track upgrade plan through my teenage years. So I started on the Porta 2, which I only think it had a couple of faders and like volume and pan. Then I got a Fostex and had like 4 faders and high and low EQ and an aux send. And then I went to 8-track cassette rack mount with the console. And then I traded the cassette for 8-track reel-to-reel, which was the dumbest move because that Fostex was such a hunk of junk. But so I was on 8-track. That was the end of my analog days. And then I got into Pro Tools 4 or something like that. Audio Media Card, I think it was called. And it was like in the back of a Dell. And that was like 4-ins, I think. But yeah, it was like I never had good stuff early. It was a lot of like Alesis microverbs and Alesis compressors and DBX, like cheap compressors. They didn't sell gear like you guys make. It wasn't like you could look in the Sam Ash or Guitar Center catalog. Like, they were selling Alesis mixing boards and ADATs and CAD microphones. There was none of like, I started working in a recording studio when I was 14. It was 16-track analog. And it was the cheap mid-level studios in the 80s and 90s. Like, the step up to go, you would spend 50 grand on a Tascam board and a 1-inch 16-track and cheap gear. To get into like a Trident or something real, that's the $50 studios couldn't afford that. You're talking 250 grand back then. So we didn't see that sort of stuff. I didn't see that sort of stuff until I got to college, probably. And, until I got to the power station and saw like all the real gear. And like, I never used an 1176 before I got there or any of that stuff. We didn't have it. It just, I don't know any studios at the level I was at that had really any of that stuff. At least, for the small time guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's where like a company like us comes into play for like small time guys and big time guys.
You guys
like,
make,
we tried
you got, you know how much of
everybody.
your stuff I have. I mean, you guys make great stuff. It just sounds really good and it's affordable. And
I'm gonna look up your purchase history. No, I'm just joking.
It's a good amount of stuff. Yeah, but I love the gear. I do a combo of both. I'm not afraid of digital. I love digital. I love analog. I would never go back to tape. I would never go back. I recently could have got a 48 channel G Plus for like a steal, and I went and I looked at it, and my hands were shaking. I wanted SSL my whole life since I'm like 18 years old. But I just realized what a nightmare that would be. What a nightmare. As cool as it is, I would never could go back to mixing on a board and the recalls and all of that. It's just no way. But the way that I use the gear, when I want to use the gear now, I just have a calibration template. So if I come in and I want to do a hybrid mix, everything is on a insert in Pro Tools, and the gear's labeled in there. And I open my calibration template, and it's got a fader for every channel IO I have, and a signal generator at the top and the insert after. In the comments section, it shows what the gain reduction should be on the piece of gear, and I turn calibration mode on, and I know in that comment section that this compressor should return on minus 17.2, and everything just gets set to the same thing if I do it that way. If I go into that, and then I could open up any mix running 64 channels of hardware inserts, and it all pops up the same way regardless of the session. The problem is the Pro Tools converters, sometimes the timing changes a little bit, and that changes the top end and the bottom end. So a lot of times I just commit stuff. I did a comparison test with plugins and analog on a lot of stuff, and the analog almost always beat it out, but sometimes summed into the mix, the plugins beat out the analog because it just sounded better because of the Pro Tools math, not because of the gear, just because of the parallel or because of the summing or because of where it was in the chain. So a lot of times I'll just print. If I want that sound, I'll print it right in. Or commit the insert.
Pick and commit.
You can always commit.
So, I mean, have you ever, like, in a broadcast situation and everything like that, have you ever used like a hybrid setup with the with any of
I used to have them.
Used to?
Yeah, I used to have on my old setup. I used to have some 33609s and a Vari-Mu and a couple of things. But in the end, for what it took me to do all this stuff and have to worry about more I/O going back and forth, it wasn't enough outboard gear to make a difference in the mix to me. And because I'm in 5.1, it's not like, well, great, let me just put these guys on the mix bus and it'll help everyone a little bit. I couldn't do that. So like for me to put a 33609 on a snare drum when I've got 65 inputs cooking and bleed everywhere and everything else, like is that going to change anything? Probably not. It's not going to be some huge difference. So I just tend to stick in the box just for consistency and safety. And at this point, actually, we don't have any analog gear in any of our rooms anymore. we can't even have. It's all digital. We don't even have a patch bay. Basically, there's nothing. It's all you want to patch something. It's on a screen and a router. It's no patch cords, no any of that. All digital.
Wow.
So I literally, if you brought your gear and you're like, plug this in on Mariah Carey's vocal, I couldn't. Like, there's just no physical place to do it.
All right, you can use the XL305.
I will.
Plug in.
I'm gonna. That's that's definitely gonna be on there. I have a feeling that's gonna be guitar, big time for guitars.
It's killer on a lot of stuff, like vocals, guitars. At home, I was throwing it on a drum track that I have.
Some of the demos I heard synth seemed pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, synths are really cool. Do you know Matt Lang?
No, I don't think so.
No, he was at AES. Yeah, I think whenever he gets something, he just tries to see if he can break it. So he just just drowns it in synth and just like. So I think I'm pretty sure a lot of his presets were kind of like that. But yeah, check those out on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But but that's what I was basically trying to do. Like at home, I was just like, all right, let me see if I get this drum sounding like
crazy as possible.
Crazy. So
those are the fun days when you can get to just screw around like that. You know, I'm always trying to. I always feel like I'm always trying to get a day to play around where I don't have to do something, and then I plan it out, and then something happens, and I don't get to do it. That's why sometimes I'm just taking chances on mixes when I'm doing it. You know, this week I decided to change all my verbs on everything just to change them and do stuff that I've never used before. I changed my vocal chain 3 times in 3 days, 3 different singers just to do something totally different. So it wasn't the same. A couple of things stay the same, but there's, you know, like multi-band compressors and stuff. There's only a few that are really, you know, useful to me. But like as far as limiters and colorful EQs, I'm always like just swapping out. And, you know, yes, it was when I was doing the Black Friday stuff, I got some plugins and changed some things. So I totally wiped everything off my template and just changed everything to stuff that I've never used, basically, for the most part. And I'll just start it the next mix that way and see what happens. And then I might find that like I don't like it on these 5 things, so I'll get rid of it after 3 mixes and change it to something else, but find it's really awesome on that. And then that stays there for a year or something, you know? I always laugh when I see people like these videos that say the best whatever, and you know, the greatest plugin ever, the greatest drum compressor ever. And I'm like, it's such a moving target for me. It could be one thing on a Monday and something else on a Tuesday. It could be one thing for one song and something for another song. It won't work.
It's all related to the source, right? You know?
There's no
comes back
best.
to that.
It's just,
you know. Yep.
But that being said, please watch Adam Slager's video on the best plugin ever made, the XL305 dual plugin.
Does this sorry. Oh God. Great.
I'm fucking with you. You're fine.
Fuck me. All right, we can end this now. Sorry, guys. I blew it.
I like to poke fun. Like I like it's not. It's not. You met me.
No, I know.
You know my vibe.
I just feel like
you're
everyone's
good.
so in this business. I feel like these days everyone's so definitive on like their stance on everything. It's like there's all these. Everyone's in their corner with their gear and their. Yeah, maybe just the way you see it on the internet, and it's not true everywhere else.
Yeah,
but it seems like such a thing. It's just like use whatever.
Internet's such a special place.
It is.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
Yep.
Brings out the best in everyone.
Yes, best of humanity.
The absolute best in everybody.
Yeah, it's a lot of
The
nice
absolute
people.
best.
Really nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you get off Facebook and then you're just like, oh, maybe there is hope for people.
Yeah, I was off Facebook for like a long time, but I needed to get something through my Instagram account, and I had to, like, they sucker you into going back, and I haven't opened it, but it's there, so I know my account's active, but I can't go on.
Don't scratch that itch.
No. It's been like 3 or 4 years. No way. I don't need to see like my friend's uncle yelling about something crazy or whatever. You know.
You must live in Florida.
Yeah, he probably.
Oh my god! I thought you almost fell back. Jesus,
I got my chair here. I'm always leaning back.
All right, that's officially the better chair. Like we're in at AES just going to like different studios. And I'm like he's sitting there looking at gear, and I'm like, look at that chair.
The chair's the most important part. You gotta have a Herman Miller or something if you're gonna sit all day. You know, it's important.
Yeah, back support and all that good stuff. I'm always kicking my feet up though, because like, oh no, I have to.
Yeah, I've got the foot marks on all my armrests on all my consoles. That's like half my day. A lot of times I'm waiting. You know, you just sit and wait for whatever's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Dang. What is it? So, all right. So we basically have like a power round, like when we come down to like the last 10 minutes of the podcast.
Okay.
And I think we're about like there, wouldn't you say? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Is there any other questions we would like to ask before we get crazy?
No, I'm good.
No?
I just
there's
like to
a lot
say
more,
people
but-
down in Florida like Springsteen as well.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do.
The boss.
I do want to,
He is the
we'll
boss.
circle back to the boss.
Okay.
And I was actually surprised. I don't know if you know it. There's this band from Jersey called the Gaslight
Yeah,
Anthem.
sure. Yeah, I used to see
Okay,
them at a
yeah,
little.
so-
I used to see them at a little club. I used to live when I like back in 04 by Rutgers, where they used to play. They used to play at this place called not the Cove. Anyway, they used to play at a little club in a basement there back in the day. I used to see them.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts that like Springsteen, when you go and see Springsteen, his house music is the album, the 59 sound. And you're just like,
Dude, I saw him over the summer at Giant Stadium again, and I hadn't seen him in a few years. He's like 73, 3-hour show. I mean, you know, whether you like his music or not, 3 hours at that age and he's jumping over pianos and everything else. I could barely get down the stairs here, and I'm like in my 40s. You know, it's
he's called the boss for the reason.
yeah, he is the boss. That's for sure.
Or for a reason, not the reason. Maybe the
Yeah, I
reason.
think it
I don't
is,
know.
yeah.
The reason. That's Hoobastank.
Yeah, that's it. That's another story. Let's not go there.
Yeah. From the boss to the Hoobastank.
Yeah, that's not. They can't even be mentioned in
Yeah.
the same sentence ever again. Please, I think something just happened.
There's a first for everything, Matt. There is a first for
no.
everything.
What does the boss and Hoobastank have in common? Trevor.
Trevor, that's it. I've never met the boss though, and I've met Hoobastank. So
I
like,
did meet the boss. I got to meet the boss. He was very very
have
nice.
Have you gotten to meet Hoobastank?
No, I met Little Steven though. That was pretty cool. I
Okay.
got to mix him. He was a really nice guy. It was like seeing him right there in the flesh. Like it was working on the mix with him. He's like right there, but he's Silvio, you know? But it's just like so cool. It was fun. That was a fun day.
Oh well, was it the reason why I brought up Gaslight Anthem though? Is they put out they came back together, just put out a new album with Bruce Springsteen on it. So
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't heard it yet.
Which is kind of nutty.
Actually, their drummer used to throw hardcore shows in New Jersey that were like these legendary, huge hardcore shows that I used to go to every weekend. There'd be
You look like a hardcore kid.
Wow, big time. There was like there was like 500 kids at these shows, 1,000 kids in like these like Legion halls, and Benny would throw every weekend all these shows. It was pretty wild back then. The scene was big. But that's where they all came from. I think his band was like called Dilemma or something like that. It was like all the hardcore stuff, you know.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. He was doing when Gaslight took a break. He was doing something that was
Mercy Union, I think it was.
Mercy Union. That
Yeah.
was it. Yeah. All right, dude, you got it. All right, cool.
I'm from Jersey,
so-
you know.
Yeah, I mean, like all those guys are from up there, like the Menzingers and Gaslight
Yep.
and all that stuff. So I mean, like Steel Train, Jack Antonoff, he's
Yep,
from up there.
sure.
Like, yep.
Yeah, I mixed them back in
so-
the fun days.
Oh, back in Fun Days.
Yeah, back in fun. I did. I mixed them on the Jersey Shore, actually, on the beach. We did after Hurricane Sandy.
Wow.
After Hurricane Sandy, we did a big reopening of the Jersey Shore. So I like literally had my remote truck parked outside the cheesesteak stand that I used to spend my early 20s drunk at 4 a.m, like stumbling around on. And I'm like looking at the truck thing mixing, and I'm like, there's the cheesesteak place. It was pretty wild. It's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Oh man. So being up in Jersey, I don't suppose you've ever. This is where we get crazy.
Okay.
I don't suppose you've ever seen any paranormal going on up there? Any UFOs in the sky?
No, just a lot of people that are really aggressive drivers.
Okay.
Yeah, no paranormal. No. There's
Chris,
some
you used to live in
weirdos.
Jersey.
There's some weirdos. Lots of weirdos.
Pretty aggressive drivers. Chris, you used to live in Jersey, right? No, down in Florida, you kind of have to be like a little bit of a an aggressive driver. Otherwise, because everybody, you're either driving too fucking slow, or you're like
You're either
"God, that guy's
90
crazy."
or yeah.
Yeah. So no paranormal up there, huh? No ghost.
Nah, not that I've seen, but I don't know. I never really looked.
I think there's probably too much light pollution for aliens.
Yeah, there's
probably,
a lot of pollution. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remind me of a wedding I went to. Sorry. I was just sitting there saying the whole entire wedding. No syringes. Up in Jersey, we got syringes. Down here, no syringes. Because we're in Boca Raton. It was super nice. Iguanas, though. There's lizards. There's dinosaurs walking around everywhere.
Have you seen the video, the Staten Island video, where the guys drive? Because they have turkeys in Staten Island, like wild turkeys that walk around there. It's kind of wild. So it's like the video says the most Staten Island thing ever, and there's a turkey on the side of the road, and there's traffic, and a dude in like a plumbing van drives by, leans out the window, looks at the turkey, goes, "Go fuck yourself." It drives off. It's like, yeah, that's Staten Island.
Oh my God. All right. So
That's better than paranormal.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
way better than
Yeah.
I'd rather see somebody just drive up in a plumbing van and
Yell at a turkey.
yell at a turkey. Just like, go fuck yourself.
I used to work
Like,
at
that
a
sounds
studio in
way
Staten
better.
Island. It's a special place.
You know, that's probably why there's not like a lot of paranormal up there too, because people would just look at it and just tell it to go fuck itself.
Yeah, exactly. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
You ever realize that?
Yeah.
All the paranormal stuff, like it's always like down south.
Yeah, true. Georgia,
That's
Florida.
it. I'm a non-believer now. I hope that ghost leaves my house. So, what's the worst advice you've ever given somebody, man?
Oh man, it's
And maybe you knew it at the time too. You're like, this is bad advice. I'm just gonna do it though.
I can't think of anything there. I think I'm actually a pretty decent advice giver. I can't. Probably no one asked me for advice, so I probably just never had to give it.
Maybe.
That's a good
trying to-
thing.
Maybe when he was drunk at 4 a.m. in his early 20s. He gave some bad
yeah,
advice.
that probably.
They're closed,
but-
but get a cheesesteak.
Yeah, get that cheesesteak.
Yeah, no, that one I can't think of. You stumped me on that one. I think I'm gonna have to
Really?
skip to the next one. Yeah, I can't think of anything there.
So you're not the only that always stumps everybody. Like
Bad.
whenever
I mean,
ask
I'm
you.
sure I've done it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure I've said some stupid stuff, but I just can't think of anything on the top of my head.
Like no one coming through on the show and be like, yeah, that guitar sounds good.
Well,
sounds better. Use that one.
like, that's
Well-
good. Yeah.
You know.
No, I'm kidding.
The best way that I used to tell people like I didn't like their stuff, like their music or whatever, they'll like, watch my band. I'll be like, okay, cool. And then like they'd get off stage and be like, what'd you think? I'd just be like, that last song was my favorite. Like they're like, thanks, man. That's like our closer. So I'm just like, yeah. Well, especially when the crowd was cheering, I was good. So but what if you walked into a room
Yeah.
and a song started to play every time you walked into a room? So like, and everybody could hear it. It's like a theme song for you. What would that song be? You can't change it either. You have to pick it. And so like,
Commit to it.
you have to, commit to the bit.
I guess I'd want something upbeat because I wouldn't want to be a downer for the rest of my life.
I mean, I think it'd be really funny if you just grabbed like one of the, like a hardcore song and like everybody just had to like listen to.
Oh man,
Born
I
in
don't
the
know. I was
USA.
kind of thinking like maybe something upbeat, maybe Iron Maiden, something that's like driving.
We have never gotten Iron Maiden in here.
No.
And I'm not even like I like
Yeah.
Maiden, but it's not like I listen to them every day. I just thought like maybe like Run to the Hills or something feels like it's I don't know. I think I'd want
Something
something
epic?
grooving, like Staying Alive, where he's walking down the street. I'd feel like if it was my music all the time, I'd want something, maybe something more with the groove. Let's Dance, something that feels, good. I don't want to be down.
So, yeah, you don't want to like walk in and like Candle in the Wind starts playing.
You never want that to happen, but Candle in the Wind. All right, I'm gonna change it here. I'm gonna go, since we're gonna go a little ridiculous, I'm gonna go Sussudio, Phil Collins.
Word.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's got that nice horn part. I feel like I'd be grooving down the road. Nice driving music. It's happy.
Man,
We're going to the studio.
he makes me want to change mine to Paul Simon's "You Can Call Me Hal."
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Graceland's a
be a
great
really
record.
good
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. You'd always be, like I would, I wouldn't want to listen to Jimmy Buffett every day, but something that's
Well, you
makes
don't
you
have
feel
to.
good. Yes, you do.
Too soon.
He was a nice
Oh.
guy.
That's all right. I get dark sometimes.
No comment. No, I know his kid. I know a lot of the guys that work with him. They're good. They're good people. So
Yeah, Trevor speaks for himself, not on behalf of AudioScape.
This is just on behalf of me. So, yeah. No, I actually have a song that I wrote a long time ago where it was talking about like the cover bands that are all around here, and it just said like nobody wants to hear your Jimmy Buffett bullshit. And
cover.
I don't know. I think it's recorded. I'll try to find it.
There you go.
but,
Put that one out.
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
let's find it. Let's play it.
Yeah,
at the end of this episode. That'd be the end credits.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
No,
there you
I
go.
want to. I actually like. I'll look for it.
Yeah,
I think
do.
it's on a cassette tape though, so it's gonna have to get put over.
You figure it out.
I have a cassette player.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
It's like one of those meeting ones.
Oh,
Those
I
things are
was
the best to
asking.
record drums with. The little
little
micro
meeting
cassette ones, the limiters, and
Yeah.
those things are wild. You could just put a tape in there and hit record. Some of them, the headphone out will work at the same time that it's in record. So you can just run it right to a DI. Sometimes you pop it into like a distortion box and just leave it on the floor by the drum kit, like between the kick and the snare. And it's like the most wild, like pumping thing.
Huh.
I may have to try that.
That might be a good technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Definitely. That or the green bullet will do it too. You take the Shure green bullet, put that, run it through like a Klon or something into a DI.
I thought I left the one in California, like in the Airbnb or the rental van. Like
We used to use a green bullet for the talkback for our system when we had a smaller booth at NAMM. So yeah,
I thought
Trevor
I did, and I was stressing. I felt really bad. I was even looking to buy him another one. I was just like online.
Did you find it?
We went back the next
was right in the
year.
storage unit.
It was
It was in the storage unit?
Those-
Yeah.
It's such a
For
great
some reason-
drum mic, man.
yeah,
I had it in my head that we just had it somewhere else.
so much fun.
What's really
but-
cool
That
about
mic's
them
so
too
much
is
fun.
even if you don't get crazy with it, there's filtered. So if you like put it under the snare drum on the floor, and then you're like gating the snare to get like a bunch of pop on it, but you're losing the ghost strokes, you bring that thing up under, and because it's already filtered, like all the cymbal wash is gone and all the low end's gone, it like gets the snares perfectly. So you just bring it up, and all of a sudden all those ghost strokes come back, but you still got the gated snare with the pop on top.
Wow.
It's a really cool. You can just bring it in like in the verse if he's grooving a little bit, slide it up and then slide it back down. Yeah, it's a really indispensable tool.
I'm just amazed at all like Trevor's silly questions. We're still getting like really good advice. This is meant to derail the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's not derailing.
Not at all.
Yeah. This is great.
You're a great guest.
Well, thank you.
And unfortunately, our time has come to an end. But I will ask one question that I haven't asked somebody in a long time, but one has to go. They could never have existed at all. The Led Zeppelin or the Beatles?
Oh, jeez, man. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. There's no right answer to that. There's no right. Well, because the Led Zeppelin wouldn't have happened without the Beatles. So I guess the Beatles, but Led Zeppelin's so badass. I guess the Beatles. I don't know. That's fucked up. You can't even do. It's like.
So wait. So you're making it so that the Beatles never existed?
No, the Beatles would exist and Led Zeppelin wouldn't.
Oh, and Zeppelin wouldn't?
Yeah, because I mean, you don't hear like someone ruining Help in the guitar store, but you do Stairway to Heaven. So at least if they were gone, all the Guitar Center workers would have a better life. So for them, for the Guitar Center guys, all the musician store guitar guys, that's for them. We'll go with the Beatles. We'll keep the Beatles.
All right. I like it. I like it. But without Zeppelin around, everybody's just sitting there trying to play like
here's the thing. So if
something.
there's no Zeppelin, does Sabbath happen?
See, that's the whole entire thing. It's a butterfly effect. So you got to pick wisely.
But then if like the Beatles don't happen, do you get like Crosby, Stills and all that? Like it's just, but it could go.
I don't know.
It's like Back to the Future when they go to that bad 1985.
Don't run into your mom.
Oh God, that's gross.
Yeah, I didn't direct that. Sorry.
Yeah,
I can't wait to watch that movie with Atticus because he'll. I'm gonna have to get to the part where it's like Biff in the car when like clearly it's something.
Yeah.
I'm like just clearly what it is. We're not gonna say it because like it will get us flagged. But we can say everything else, but we can't say that. I'll just be like, oh yeah, she's not having a good time, buddy. So it's going bad. So,
all right then.
I'm trying to think of like all the stuff like because as a kid you sit there and you're just like, oh yeah, like you don't.
Why
think
is he being so mean to her?
Yeah, why is he being so mean to her? Yeah, gosh, he's aggressive.
It's still one of the coolest like music scenes with the guitar solo and everything. Though when I was a kid, that was just like. Dude's playing like Van Halen out of nowhere. I think it's Steve Vai though. Maybe that might be Steve Vai guitar solo. I think it's somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was somebody.
I think so. Or one of the songs, something in there. Oh no, Eddie Van Halen is in the part where they put the headphones on his father and he scares him like he's an alien.
Yes,
that's Eddie Van Halen. The other guy, it was a studio musician. I think I saw who did all that.
Oh, that's funny.
But that was cool, man. I thought he was really playing it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all did. Yeah. That was.
I thought it was badass.
Yeah.
And you guys are down in Orlando, so you get to visit the car all the time.
It's the car is there, but like the ride is gone.
Yeah, I went on it. I went on it the last time I was down there, right before they closed it, and it was definitely like 1992 in there still. It was.
It was.
It was run down.
Complete throwback. Like you see the dinosaur and you're just like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, we saw that and the Terminator one, and it was just like, yeah, holy crap, it's the 90s.
Terminator 1, I tripped the actor as I was in the front and they run by. I put out my foot and tripped him.
That's horrible.
I was like 13.
Okay.
So I was just being a punk ass kid there for what was that? It was like I forget what it was called. Rock the Universe, I think that's what it was called.
Oh yeah, they had that with the schools back then.
Yeah, I went to Rock the Universe to see Reliant K and the OC Supertones.
Ooh, nice.
So good times, but yeah, Matt, we are out of time because you got to finish up because you got to go home at 7.
Yeah, I'm going home early today.
Your wife is awesome.
I got a Broadway show tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, nice,
nice.
30 singers.
Nice.
Oof.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I got to mix a Broadway thing tomorrow. So those are the hardest things for me to mix because you get the script that morning. I've got 30 actors that could be on or off camera at any time. So I'm riding the faders while I'm reading the script in real time. and just
Whoa.
yeah, it's intense. It's not fun. You got to be like super focused. It's not like you're riding a guitar solo and you're pretending to be, you know, Jimi Hendrix or something. Like you're in it. You can't upcut anyone. You can't, you know, if you do, someone's going to start, you know, you're going to hear
about
You're
it.
going to hear about it.
I'm a bit dyslexic, so everything would be backwards if I did it.
No.
But yeah, so well, clearly, Matt, you have you've been a great guest. We want to
Thank
have
you.
you back again.
Anytime. It's
eventually.
a lot of
So,
fun.
Are you going to NAMM?
I'm going to try. I got to see how my schedule is looking. It seems like things are filling up for it's January, right?
It's January, yeah.
What are the dates?
Yeah. What
So
was
like
it?
the
25th through the 28th.
Oh, maybe I can do that. I think I
It's
finished.
25, 26, 27, 28. Yeah, it's 4 days.
I'm going to try.
Well, if you want to go, we'll send you a pass.
yeah,
And
definitely.
so you just let us know if it, and that'll be great. And then we can do this in person.
Ooh, now that sounds like fun. Getting into some trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's also clear that you have watched so many of these and you're our number one fan. So will you please do our famous sign off?
Oh, I don't know the sign off.
Perfect.
That works.
We don't have one.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't know there was a. It's like, did I miss something? A secret
No,
handshake?
it's just some shit I throw at the end on people.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. I didn't know. You got me.